Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about log image profiles. If you guys don't know what that is, stick around and I will explain everything. And if you do know what log is and you use that, stick around because I will try to use that for photography. So like... Now, a couple of weeks ago, I came across this forum where this guy was asking, should you use log for photography? And the first answer that he got was, dude, why don't you just use RAW? Why complicate your life with log? So as stupid as this question is, I actually understand the reason why he asked this. You see, some people think that if you use log or logarithmic gamma curve transform, you actually increase the dynamic range of your camera, and that's not actually true. I have 12 stops of dynamic range on my Lumix G9, and that's the maximum I can get out of it. But whenever I record a video, I get about 8, 9, 10 stops of dynamic range, and that's because I can only record compressed, processed, encoded video files. I can't record RAW on this camera, so basically I'm stuck with a JPEG version of video. So imagine if you could take a photo only with a JPEG output. You would want to have something to increase the dynamic range, because JPEGs, as we take a photo, are usually lower dynamic range than what your sensor actually does. This is why we take photos in RAW, because we want to have control of how to work with highlights and shadows. Now, a JPEG is basically a camera processed image, and the camera, well, it does a good job, but it's not as intelligent as you and I are. So basically with video, you're kind of stuck with the JPEG version, and there's a way you can actually increase your dynamic range by cheating the camera into giving you more details. And this is where gamma curve transform functions come into play. Now you can take some bits of information from the midtones and squeeze that into the shadows and the highlights. Now I'm really oversimplifying this, but that's basically how it works. Basically, your gamma curve, the curve that controls brightness and contrast, is transformed into a logarithmic state, this way squeezing in a little bit more data in the highlights and the shadows. So you get an image that looks like this. It's flat, it's desaturated, and it's not meant for viewing. Now if I just increase the contrast and the saturation, I get something that looks okay, but it's not actually accurate, it's not true to life. What I need to do is I need to change the gamma curve from a logarithmic state to a linear state. I need to change the color space from a wider gamut to a Rec 709 or sRGB, and then I can apply the color grade. So you see, it's these steps that you need to take whenever you're working with log. Now, some people don't know that they need to do this and their log footage just looks really awful. Other people just don't want to bother with that because there's just too much work, or I don't know. I mean, it's actually very easy. I'm going to do a whole video on how to work with log in the future. But today I'm going to take two photos. One is going to be with the neutral camera setting. The other one is going to be with the log, with the V-Log-L. This is the Panasonic's log gamma profile. Now, Sony has S-Log, Canon has C-Log, Fuji has F-Log, and Panasonic should have P-Log, but they have V-Log, I don't know. And I'm using V-Log-L because this is a micro four thirds camera with a 12-stop image sensor. The full V-Log is meant for 14 plus stops of dynamic range for Panasonic's full frame camera lineup. So in today's video, I want to test out if there's actually a benefit of using a log image profile compared to a neutral image profile. I'm going to take two shots. One is going to be with the neutral, just setting everything by default, and I'm going to take a JPEG photo of that, and I will compare that to a V-Log-L image, which is also going to be in JPEG, because the raw files of both images are going to be exactly the same. As long as the composition and the exposure are the same, the raw files are going to be exactly the same. So I will compare two JPEGs and see if there's actually any sort of higher dynamic range with the log image. So I found the location where I'm going to take the photos. I was looking for a very contrasty scene. Now, please don't judge me on the composition. It's not, you know, one of those beautiful fairy tale forest photos, but it's very contrasty, which means I'm going to have to be able to compare the shadow and highlight recovery from both of these images. So I'm going to take these photos, head home, and see what I can get out of them. Okay, so I have all the three images here in Photoshop. This is the V-Log version. This is the neutral version made, edited by my camera, and the third one is the raw file. So the raw file is the raw for this image right here. So this is my camera's balancing, saturating, denoising, and stuff. So first, what I'm going to try to do is take the raw file and try to make it as high dynamic range as I can by myself, and compare that first of all to the JPEG, and then I'm going to edit the V-Log file and try to get as much as I can from that and just see where things are. So let's start with the raw file first. Okay, so this is my version of the photo edit. If I compare it to my camera's version of the balancing, you can see it's a lot more contrasty. So I made a better job compared to the JPEG or the neutral color profile, image profile that my camera did. So this is why we take photos in RAW, because we have so much more leverage of editing our photos. So again, the neutral file and the manually edited file. You can see there's just a lot more details in the shadows and the highlights over here. Okay, now let's compare this to the RAW file. Now the RAW file, of course, is flat and is desaturated. It's meant to be edited. So I'm going to edit this, and don't forget, this is a compressed JPEG file. It's not a RAW file. So I'm going to edit this file and try to match it as close as I can to the other two. Okay, so after a little bit of editing and actually work, I had to actually add some adjustment layers on top of the camera raw filter to actually try and get as much detail from the highlights as I can. If I compare this now to the neutral file, it's a lot better. Now you can see there's a lot more details, but the image is like overall flatter. Now if I was just to increase the contrast, it would be a little bit, yeah, it would be a little bit more contrasty. But if I compare this to my raw file, you can see there's just, you know, a lot of details just lost. But it's definitely better than the neutral file, which is like way overblown. Now I can edit the neutral file just as well and probably recover a lot of the highlights just as well. But this is just to show you have to edit your log files just as well. So might as well just edit the raw data, and there's just no sense of making and working with log in photography, because honestly what you're looking at right now, this is not a true to life image. Basically this would be more true to life than this. You know, this just looks wrong. The colors are wrong. The colors were also taken with a wider gamut. You know, this is done in V gamut. It's not sRGB, and there's just no way I can convert this to sRGB within Photoshop, at least not that I would know. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments how you can transform VLOG to sRGB. I don't think there's a plugin for this because nobody uses this, and this just proves the point. You know, you should not use log in photography because you have the benefit of working with raw, and raw gives you the most flexibility of everything. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've learned something new. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. If I said anything wrong, correct me in the comments. Also give me any questions if you have and suggestions. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Is the camera gonna tip over? Hear the wind. Every time I start recording, there's wind blowing like crazy, and you have these really gusts of wind. I'm actually afraid that my camera, that you guys are gonna fall down, so it's kind of weird. So in today's video, I want to test out if there's any... So in today's video, oh come on, the sun.